Hey, how's it going everyone? Welcome to the latest video, and yeah, the beast is here. That's right, Son Gohan, beast from the Dragonballsuper superhero movie last year. Yeah, one more to go. Orange Piccolo. Soon, we're so close to the final movie release, which will be great to get back into all the other awesome figures. Hopefully we'll be getting for Z, maybe GT, hopefully OG Dragon Ball, please. But anyway, today we are here with the highly anticipated Beast Gohan. But yeah, overall, again, the same aesthetic as all the other superhero movie releases. The golden sticker is premium Bandai in Japan, and also the USA as well, new quality seal sticker. And then on the back we've got a nice selection of images showcasing the different faces and the effects that it does come with. But check it out, finally! Special beam cannon, massive cool. The first time we've had any official release effect like that beyond the, I think it's the Figuarts. They had one, but yeah, first one in the Figuarts line, which is great. But yeah, anyway, let's pop him out of the packaging and check out what he does come with. So this is actually a pretty stacked release. We've got Beast Gohan in the center there himself, and obviously straight away we do have that awesome effect which has a hand physically attached to it. So it is all combined, and then there is the stand for it as well. So we've got a base and then the actual stand rod there, which will pop into the effect, and then the stand so it can balance. But in terms of faces, we've got the base neutral and on him already, the screaming one, teeth gritting, I think it is. Yeah, so teeth gritting, and then that kind of cocky smile, which is cool. And then we've got the kind of transformation look there. So in between the base, I guess, Ultimate Gohan, and then the Beast Gohan. Then we have the folded arms, followed by the other hand for charging out that special attack. And then I believe these are exactly the same as the Ultimate Gohan. The finger spread and a bit more martial arts grips there as well. So great selection of both faces and hands. Even, you know what? This is a great release in terms of what we get. I wish every release was like this. Awesome selection of faces. The hand and effect is awesome. But yeah, that is it for what he does come with, which is overall pretty good so far. But yeah, let's pop him out of a plastic clamshell so we can check out the actual finish on this figure. So as Gohan spins around here, the first thing you'll notice is obviously the battle damage on his gi. So that is the first big noticeable difference from the original release, besides the head, of course. But you can see on the back here, it's cut out, flaying around. We've got the skin showing through, and same if we look on the side here. There's even scratches on his leg, which is cool, and on the upper torso area and everything like that is nice. So good detailing there. And obviously, since this is still based on the movie one, we have the red waist and the charcoal wristbands. However, the colouring of the purple is quite different actually. It's a lot more muted and a bit more of a pastel colour compared to the original release. Now obviously when Gohan is in the beast form, he's powered up, he's got the red energy sparking all the way around him, so that is probably going to lighten up his overall colour palette, which I think is reflected in his purple gi here compared to the original, which actually if we have a look, you can kind of see here there is a decent difference in terms of the colour saturation. Now we'll have a little bit more of a comparison with the other figures towards the end of the video, but yeah, for now I think we can pop into the articulation. Actually, so before that I do want to point out also that the hair darker at the bottom, and it does go to a lighter colour. So there is a little bit of a difference in the hair colouring, which is nice. So when the light does pick up on those very long strands of hair, it does add a little bit more depth and detail. But anyway, we'll take a closer look at the articulation now, and we'll get a closer in-depth look at the upper torso with the soft rubber finish while we're at it. Okay, so starting with the head articulation, he can look up pretty well. One thing that I have noticed though is that the faceplate sits on pretty well, but it is definitely a bit loose compared to other figures. So when you are moving the head, it may come loose or kind of come off. Like when you go forward, you can keep tilting the head forward, but due to the way that faceplate is designed, it will subtly slide on and off. There's quite a few pegs there, but I guess due to the extremely slanted and long nature of the face, when it does hit, it will just start popping off. Little bit of a con, but if you are aware of it, it shouldn't get in the way too much, at least for long-term posing. But you know, the left and right swivel is nice, and yeah, as I mentioned, the looking back is pretty good, so overall not too shabby. Now coming into the shoulder, this is when we can get our first real good look at that newly designed upper torso, which is a soft rubber. So it does have a butterfly joint in there, and the sleeves are actually an individual piece of rubber as well, but is attached on the back part, but on the front we do have the split there. So it shouldn't get in the way too much, and you know, the joint does move freely up and around, which is nice. And then there is the usual bicep swivel, the elbow joint range. Everything here is pretty standard and actually not similar to that of the original movie Gohan release. Now there is a very subtle, subtle articulation point in the chest underneath the gi. It's a little bit hard to see, and you know, personally I don't want to try to rip it off too much there. But what we can do, we can pop the upper torso off the joint. And this will show us the underneath side, and as we can see, everything is a loose rubber around there. And if you were to pop the shoulder joints off as well, I believe you can kind of get access underneath, which is a little bit tight, so I don't want to do it on mine. But there are a few photos floating around online if you want to get a closer look. But as we can kind of see here, the plastic or rubber does get in the way a little bit of the articulation going forward, so you can't really fold his arm around. Though, in saying that, the original Gohan, since he's so, you know, beefy, he really reminds me of the Arnie Commando movie, right, when he's walking out holding the tree. Since he's so buff, even the original one was pretty limited in that regard. So this one here, I think, is definitely more aesthetic over form. But for a figure like this, I'm actually okay with that so far, but definitely drop a comment below what you think. This new rubber technique is pretty interesting. Looks nice and feels nice, though definitely does seem a little bit more limiting in terms of actual articulation and playability. But yeah, moving down to the lower region here, and you know, just like the original one, damn, he's got some good articulation. Everything feels nice, fluid and smooth. The upper thigh swivel, the knee joint is pretty good, a little bit more limited due to the obviously design of his lower gi there, or uniform. You know, it flares out, so it is limiting the articulation. You know, I guess it is the trade-off, since on the back it does look really, you know, pretty damn clean compared to a lot of other figures. It does have the usual butt flip there, so we don't really get much of the articulation going back, which, you know, is the downside to this newer design. Moving over to the ankles though, again very similar to the original release. We get a bit more articulation going with tilting left and right and up and down, so everything here does feel nice, and it will swivel just above the ankle too. And the normal toe tip point of articulation. So even there's pretty much, I'd say from the waist down is going to be the same as the Ultimate Gohan release, with the upper being very similar, but maybe a little bit more limited due to that soft rubber gi design. I guess everyone was kind of expecting more articulation due to this, but I feel like this is definitely a bit more aesthetic over form in the way it is, you know, working, but overall it does look damn good, you gotta admit that. So moving over to the faces, this is the base one on there, which is that subtle frown look. Again, everything's nice, the colouring, the line work and the separation of the facial features is really nice. And as we kind of saw before, the whole front part over here will come off, and they'll give you access to the faceplate, which will then just slot off the hair like so. Okay, the second faceplate we have on here is a subtle teeth gritting one, with it going up a bit higher on the left side. Again, everything's nice. The red eyes, the lines above the eyebrows are super crisp and clean and looks really nice. But it definitely suits the extremely exaggerated hair design for Beast Gohan. So next up is maybe my favorite one actually. This, kind of crazy, cocky look there. Definitely a lot of emotion that is brought forward by this face. The line work above the eyebrows just kind of brings it all together, especially for those kind of crazy eyes. But yeah, definitely, let me know in the comments below which one is your favorite of these faces. But I think, most definitely this is my favorite one for Beast Gohan. Okay, next up is that transformation face with the original Gohan release head, and yeah, this one's really nice. I feel like, at least for me, not being a super Dragon Ball Super fan, probably go with the base head on the new battle damaged body, but definitely digging this look as well. It looks really cool. It kind of also reminds me when they are going to go like Super Saiyan for the first time, the eyes kind of start changing, but the hair hasn't yet. So this is really cool. And finally we have the full-on screaming face, which is perfect for the attack, looking subtly off to the side, to his right hand side, which kind of corresponds with the direction of his hair as well, which can be then paired up beautifully with the key effect. Okay, so I've got Gohan set up here with his, as I look at my phone because I never remember the name of it, Makankosapo attack, or English special beam cannon, or whatever the name was in your region. Drop a comment below in the comments what this effect is called, and guess wherever you grew up watching Dragon Ball. But yeah, this looks really cool, but it definitely does highlight the limitations with the new design, with the gi here and the lack of articulation towards the front. You can't really strike the pose how he should be, and again with one of those weird stands which isn't a variable length, it's fixed. You kind of have to get in the right direction. There is a ball joint, so it will move around a little bit, but again, it's a little bit fiddly. You might need to, play around for a while to get him in a good pose. But this, at least shows a point, and the effect itself looks really nice. Really clear colouring, the white tip as well, and everything is fused into the hands there, which is cool, and it should be compatible with the original Gohan too. Okay, so we've got the martial arts grip hand on there, and that pairs beautifully with that kind of cocky smile on him, and the fantastic range of articulation in the lower region definitely makes it really easy to pose and kind of get like low down, which is really cool. And obviously with those joints, should be able to, can we get him a balance? Should be able to hold himself up really well since his joints are nice and solid. Oh, not quite, a bit more top heavy compared to the original release. But maybe twist it around. There we go, check it out. So yeah, definitely nice and fun figure to play around with and pose, especially since crazy articulation and that leg range there, and the joints feel a lot more solid compared to a certain recent release, dare I say his name. But yeah, so compared to that release, the lower region on Gohan here is fantastic. So I've popped his arms off, and it wasn't too hard to get off, and yeah, definitely looks like it's the same size on the inner joint there, so we can then go ahead and attach the folded arms. Now, if you've been watching this channel for a while, I really don't like these type of arms because they're always a pain to put on, kind of pain to get off, and then often when you do change the arms on them, they kind of come off a lot easier, and then, had a bad experience. Maybe I'm traumatized. Once changing the old Super Saiyan Vegeta, I was holding by the arm, fell, just missed the table, and he broke his head and neck peg. First time I've ever done that. Not fun, so definitely be careful when changing these joints. And this one is actually really tight. Can't get it around, so let me have a wee play around. Might need to put the arm back on so I can swivel that joint around. Okay, whew, felt exhausting. Now that was a mission to get on. Even then it's not properly connected because, yeah, it's a pain in the ass. Oh, it popped off again. Anyway, I'm just going to leave it because, yeah, you get the point. Arms go on, pain in the ass, your mileage will vary. Some are easy, this one's a bit harder. I feel like the joint or the rubber does get in the way a little bit. If you've managed to get his arms on without any issues, please do let me know. I might need to have a wee look around. Maybe I can pull this back and slide it inside his, I guess underneath that joint there, and it'll go on a little bit easier, but definitely very hard. It was even hard to pop the original arm peg back on afterwards, so definitely not the easiest. This is why I don't like these folded arms. Yeah, but anyway, once you get it on, does look pretty badass, though again probably won't really use a game. Okay, so we basically have the full Dragon Ball superhero family here. The Ultimate Gohan with that badass transformation phase. Then obviously the original releases from last year, Goku, Piccolo, Vegeta, and then the Gammas from the start of this year, and then Pan, and then most recently Broly. And well, everyone's probably favourite release, or most anticipated release, and that is Beast Gohan. So yeah, this brings us to the final thoughts of this video. So yeah, overall, does he live up to everyone's expectation or not? You know what, I mean, you all know I'm not really a super fan, however I do quite like this figure. Not the biggest fan of a Beast transformation in general. I'm not that hyped about it compared to other people. But compared to the other transformations from Super, I actually quite like it. I can see it going from Gohan's normal Ultimate or Mystic version into something like this, which is pretty cool. And yeah, I'm digging the battle damage gi, and as I mentioned earlier, the colour difference, you can probably see it a bit closer now. It's not huge, but definitely is a little bit more muted compared to the original Gohan release. So you do get a little bit of variety there. Plus you can switch the heads around. Actually, that's one thing we should do now. We can pop the Beast head on Gohan. So we've got the original Gohan body, Beast head. Which head can we use? Let's go with the Broly Windswept here. Okay, there we go. So the Windswept here from Broly, it's just a neutral face, but you get the point, how we can switch the heads around with the figure. So that is a huge pro for this release. Versatility. We can switch and change how we want. The battle damage on the gear is fantastic. I really do like the new design. It's a little bit limiting in terms of articulation, but aesthetically speaking, it is really nice. The extra effect and the way it attaches is pretty cool, though a little bit limiting at times due to these stands, but obviously you can, you know, switch that up if needed or just rest on something else. But the colouring and the plastic, you know, the transparent plus the more opaque parts of the effect is really nice. Plus you can switch it with the other Gohan body, which is cool. Now for my cons, yeah, you know what, not a huge amount of cons overall, but obviously I do have to mention the limited articulation in the shoulder and chest area. It is definitely form over function, and you can definitely, you know, the original one, it still looks really nice, but you do get the underneath joint and the more apparent ones on the shoulder. I mean, you still see them on the new Gohan, but it blends in a lot nicer. Everything feels like it is on the same level, so it looks really nice. So yeah, definitely form over functionality for this release. In some ways, I'm not really sad or disappointed, since we can change those heads. If we want the extra articulation, just, you know, use the original Gohan body release. But yeah, definitely let me know what you think in the comments below about this release. What are your pros and cons? Anything you're really disappointed about or super pumped for? I definitely feel like, dare I say it, maybe my second favourite superhero release. My first one, you know what, I think I really like the Pan release for an overall figure. A lot of fun. I love that little water bottle and the expression she came with. But you know, for a fun, kind of cute figure, Pan, for a bit more badass action than Gohan, but definitely both up there for me in terms of the Dragon Ball Super movie releases. But yeah, anyway, I will be posting some photos on Instagram over the next couple of days. Midweek here in Japan, so a bit harder to try and get them all done now from the end of this review. But yeah, I will be posting them over the weekend, hopefully, so keep an eye out for those. And anyway, again, thank you very much for watching, and until next time, cheers!